Today's word of the day is pseudonym. So the pronunciation on that one can be a little bit tough. So again, pronunciation is pseudonym. So I think that it's interesting to think about the prefix on this one. Pseudo literally means fake. So you could say like someone's a pseudo doctor, or on days where, there's a short week and the last day of the week, you could call it pseudo Friday, right? Because it's kind of like fake Friday. So pseudonym. And a pseudonym is when an author uses a fake name. And there's lots of reasons that that might happen, but the first thing I love thinking about is all the synonyms for pseudonym. Say that 10 times fast, right? So there's lots of different ways to say the same concept. So one of them is called pen name. That's a really common synonym for pseudonym. The fanciest synonym for pseudonym is the French version, but it's actually pretty common. You'll see it on today's video, right? This one right here. It literally mentions nom de plume, which in French translates into English directly into pen name. So pen name and nom de plume are synonymous. They're exactly the same. Sometimes you'll get a pseudonym that's also an alias. So like Agent 007, right? James Bond, right? That's an alias. Stage names are also another synonym for pseudonym. So, like Lady Gaga, I don't think her parents looked down and thought, you know what, we should name this tiny baby Lady Gaga. No, her real name, she's Italian. Her real name is Stefani Germanotta. But a really popular pseudonym that everybody knows is Dr. Seuss. And I love Dr. Seuss. It makes me feel special. We have the same birthday, which is March 2nd. But his real name is, I think it's Theodore Geisel Seuss. So he shortened it to this pseudonym. And that's a really famous one. But I also think J.K. Rowling has a pretty fascinating history with pseudonyms. So she kind of has two stories. So first of all, when she first, before she was really, really famous for Harry Potter, she had sent her manuscript, her novel, off to get published. And it took several people turned her down. Can you imagine turning down J.K. Rowling? But once they finally decided that she was going to get published, they basically told her, you know what, it's kind of messed up, but you'll make more money if people don't know that you're a woman. And unfortunately, even though you would think we're in the time of history when that wouldn't happen anymore, that's basically what she was told. So they told her to use the pseudonym JK so that it wasn't really clear if she was a man or a woman. And so her real name, I think if I remember correctly, it's Joanne Kathleen Rowling. So that's the first part of her history with pseudonyms, but she also has another chapter in her history of pseudonyms, which I think is really fascinating. After she was really, really famous for Harry Potter and made tons of money, she wanted to then try something different, which sometimes happens. So she wrote a totally different kind of book, and it was more for adults. And I'm not gonna lie, it was really bad. And I love J.K. Rowling, and even I didn't finish it. It was called The Casual Vacancy, and I love that instead of giving up, because she totally could have, right? At that point, she was a billionaire. She absolutely could have just kind of called it and been like, you know what, I'm just gonna go live my life. But instead of giving up, she tried again, and she wanted to try again to write a novel for adults, but she didn't want people buying the book and reading it just because they knew it was her. So she anonymously sent it to a publisher under a pseudonym because she didn't even want the publisher to say, oh, this is her, let's publish this book. So she sent it under the pseudonym Robert Galbraith, which is right here. And she got lucky again that they didn't know it was her and they decided to publish her. And then that series got popular all on its own. It was a murder mystery series with this detective named Cormoran Strike. Eventually the secret got leaked and people got in trouble because they were supposed to keep it secret that it was her. But I think that there's all sorts of fascinating reasons to use pseudonyms, right? Sometimes it's just that an author wants to branch out and do something totally different, which can sometimes be hard. Sometimes it's to battle sexism, right? That sometimes people judge you just based on things you can't really control, right? And so they're trying to kind of battle against that. Or sometimes it's just to stay anonymous, right? That they want a real life and not just have to deal with fame all the time. Like there used to be this really famous YouTuber named PewDiePie that kids at Albion were really obsessed with, and that's a really common kind of I just want a pseudonym for anonymity. So there you go, pseudonym.